and welcome back to the rabbit hole. I'm your host, Danny, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. I have been asked a lot recently about my testimony, about my journey to my faith. Because if you've been listening to my podcast for a while, then you know that I have said in several of my older episodes that I do not believe in God. I wanted to share this because I have been asked so many times over social media. People have asked me to share my testimony and kind of like what got me here. So I thought that I would record it. So I'm going live on YouTube. I'm also recording it in an audio version to post just as a regular episode or like probably a bonus episode in my podcast feed. So here we go. I'm not going to stop the recording. Like normally I would edit things because that's what I do. I want to make it sound really good, but because I'm live and because of the situation, I'm just going to go for it. So here we go. Um so yes, I did not believe in God. I never grew up with a faith. In fact, like I was told most of my life that people that believe in God are lacking something in their life. And in my opinion, especially as a small kid, I was like, well, I'm not lacking anything in my life. I'm loved. I'm happy. Everything's good. So I don't need God. And I actually like actively made fun of people who did believe in God most of my life because I was like, that's what we do. That's what I was shown. So that's what we do. Except then I started a podcast where I talk about conspiracies all the time. And the thing that really got me is that I keep coming back to God, not necessarily God, actually. I keep coming back to Satan. Like so many roads keep leading back to Satanism. We talk about Pizzagate. We talk about like child sacrifices. We talk about um like Jeffrey Epstein and all that stuff. I mean, there's so many different avenues. I mean, the Vatican, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. We could go on and on and on about all these avenues that bring us back to Satanism where we're like, "Wait a second. Like the Statue of Liberty." Um it just it felt really weird. And then I started researching cults and I was like, that's a really weird thing too because a lot of these people are using God as a vessel to manipulate other people. And I was like, this just reinforces why I don't believe in anything. Like, but I guess where I was always a hypocrite my entire life is that I always believed that everything happened for a reason. I just didn't know what that reason was. So I was like, yes, everything happens for a reason. What that is, I don't know. Is it God? Absolutely not. No way. Well, so fast forward to I'm 19, I'm in the Navy, and something really, really bad happened to me. I talked about it in a couple podcast episodes I was on as a guest. I was sexually assaulted in the military. So after that, I was told, well, you need to go talk to the chaplain and he will help you work through this situation, whatever the situation is, because they didn't really know. They're like, they'll help you work through this. And I was like, okay, cool. So I go to the chaplain. I was already going in. I'm like, I don't believe in this. This is going to be stupid. Like, I don't want to hear what he has to say. And then he told me, this wouldn't have happened to you had you believed in God. If you believed in God, God would have protected you. None of this would have happened. And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool. So I guess like I'm screwed then for the rest of my life." And then I was like, "Wait a second." I left there. I was pissed. I was so angry. I like was crying. It's like angry cries because I was so mad that he would tell me that. And then like as the week went on, I was like, "You're telling me that everybody that believes nothing bad has ever happened. That doesn't make any sense." So I don't know. I left there. I was just angry. Again, fast forward, I get out of the Navy. I got medically retired for PTSD from that situation. They were like, "We don't wanna fix you. We broke you. We're really sorry. Good luck in life." And they kicked me out. So they didn't kick me out. I got medically retired. So then I needed to figure out what I'm gonna do with my life. Eventually, I come to the podcast, right? So now I'm researching conspiracies. They're all leading back to Satan. I'm researching cults. I'm like, I need to start understanding the Bible at least a little bit if I'm going to talk about this on my cult podcast. I need to know what I'm talking about. Okay, so let me continue. So I started, and at the time we got a nanny. I needed a nanny for the boys because my podcast was getting bigger. I knew that I couldn't just podcast during nap time anymore. So when I started my podcast It was just in the nap times. So my son would sleep for 3 hours in the middle of the day. That's when I would podcast, and then I would finish whatever else I needed to at night. But I did this 7 days a week. So every single day when he napped for those 3 hours, I would then go podcast. And it worked out really well until I had my second son, and I could not do that anymore because he did not sleep regularly. He was a newborn. He was sleeping very sporadically. And I was like, okay, I need somebody to come in and watch the boys while I podcast. I have some dedicated time just to get this done. I just need a couple days a week. It'll be fine. The lady that came in, I said, "Okay, cool. Like, what does your husband do?" I was just interviewing her. She told me that her husband was a pastor, and I was like, "Awesome, cool. That's really good. I know that Christians have pretty good values, so I'm feeling okay about this." Well, fast forward to a couple months later, I called my husband, and I don't know. I cannot tell you why. I felt this like tremendous pull, literally like like a yanking on my heart that I needed to start trying to find a faith, right? Like whatever that looks like, I don't know, but I needed to start at least like looking into it. So I called my husband one day, and this has happened before. I should tell you that story first. So one time we were looking at a place that we wanted to live that wasn't Colorado. We were like, we want to move from here. What does that look like? We went our separate ways for the day. We came back at night and we were like, hey, like I think I told him, I think I found a place that we should go and explore for potentially for us to move to. He said, oh, me too. At the same time, we both said, Charleston, South Carolina. And like, it was crazy. So we were on the exact same page. We went to Charleston. We loved it. We ended up not moving there, but we did love it. Anyway, fast forward to now, or then, I guess. This was about just over a year ago from now. I called him. I said, "Hey, we need to talk about something." And it's going to be weird because this isn't something that we've ever done before. I think I want to start reading the Bible. And we had agreed when we got married, like, neither of us really believed in anything. So that was fine. He said, "That's interesting that you say that because I have also felt like I should start reading the Bible." And this was like June of 24. So we both start reading the Bible. We started reading together. We started reading separately. I went to my nanny. I was like, "We've got some questions. Can we have dinner with you and your husband? Because we need to talk about all these questions. We have a million questions. Why choose Christianity? Why go this route?" We started asking the really, really, really hard questions that most people would ask. Especially me as like a skeptic, a pod or like a conspiracy theory podcaster, like, I ask all these questions. So we started asking really questions. Like, I said, "Well, how do we know that Jesus is not just the devil, like, trying to trick us?" Right? Like, I started asking crazy questions. And she and her husband, they were so gracious to us, and they just explained it all. My next door neighbor at the time, they were very faithful believers. They're not our neighbors anymore, but we still keep in contact. And so I asked them like, "Hey, can we have a conversation? I wanna talk to you about God. I need to learn more about your beliefs." And so they sat down with us. They talked to us. That was really cool. And then we were going to leave. We decided that we are gonna buy a house in a different state. We're gonna move to a different state. That's kind of where we were at. We had read the Bible a little bit. We were still reading maybe a chapter every single night. Like, we weren't it wasn't anything crazy, right? And we read through John first. That's what we were all told. Everyone told us to read through John first. We did that, and then we're like, "Now what?" So I just went back to the very beginning of the Bible and just started reading in Genesis because I was like, "I wanna know what this thing says. I've never read it before. I need to know." So I started reading it. And again, the whole time I'm researching conspiracies, I'm researching cults, I'm realizing that, like, there's some really crazy things out there, and a lot of things do lead back to the Bible, which I didn't know before because I had never really I I had literally never read it. I've heard some stories, that's it. So then we started looking at houses to buy. We found the area that we wanted to buy in. We came out here, we looked at like 9 houses, and we found the house. We're like, "That's the house we're gonna put in a contract." The first time I ever prayed, we put in our contract. That night, I woke up at 2 in the morning because the baby was crying, and I don't know why, but I felt like I needed to pray, and I had never prayed before in my whole life. So I didn't know what I was doing. I was just like, "God, if this is supposed to happen, let it happen. Like, if we're supposed to have this house, let it happen." I don't know why. The next morning, my husband's like, "Yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night. I felt like I needed to pray." I was like, "That's interesting," because I had to pray in the middle of the night too. Neither of us had ever prayed before in our whole lives. Everything went perfectly in buying this house. We'd never bought in a house before. Everything went so smoothly. The inspection, we had to change lenders in the middle of it, but we didn't know. Like, it was so serendipitous that this lender happened to walk into our realtor's office and was like, "Hey, something's really weird with that situation. They should talk to me." And we talked to them and we had to change lenders. Everything worked out so perfectly. We moved out here. The move was flawless. Everything was so perfect. We're like, okay, this is probably where we're meant to be. And then I went through this transition where I was like, I'm really sad being here. And then I started praying more. I was like, why am I here? Like, maybe we shouldn't have moved. This was a mistake. We should not be in this new place at this new house with this beautiful land. Like, everything's perfect, but nothing feels right. One morning, it was like a Sunday morning. I woke up. I was like, I need to go to church today. I've been to church maybe 5 times my whole life. Like, I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't even know what denomination. Like, I don't understand any of this. So I Googled it. And I live in the Bible Belt now. There are a lot of churches out here in the Bible Belt. So I Googled churches in the area. The only thing I was looking for, because we are a young family, I was looking for a church that wasn't just like old people, that had young families also in the church. I found one. I went to it. I packed up the kids. I was like, we're going to church. My husband was not in town, so it was just me and the boys. We went to church. It was very weird. I felt very odd because I'd never been to church before. So like it just felt weird, right? And I don't know. We went there. It was like the end of November, and we didn't go back in December because of the move. My husband he was going back and forth to Colorado, like bringing all of our stuff to our new state, to our new home. He did like 6 or 7 trips back and forth, back and forth. So he didn't go with me. He wasn't there. And then when he finally got home, then in December we went to Hawaii for my 30th birthday, which was in September, but we delayed the vacation, went to Hawaii, and then Christmas happened. And all throughout that, I was like, I know that Christmas is really big in the church. I'm not going during that time. No way. I don't want to ruin my Christmas. Sounds stupid now. But at the time, that's what I thought. So the very last Sunday of the year of 2024, we went back to church. And I told my husband, you don't have to come with me. I think that you should come one time. If there's a church that we're going to go to, I think that it should be this one. I really like it. I don't know why. I can't tell you the reason, but I really like this church. So we went back and we have gone every single Sunday since. He comes with me. We both read our Bible. The church, actually, they at the beginning of the year, and I don't know if they do this every year because we're new, but they started reading through the Bible through like this app, and it tells you like which chapters to read each day and like which book or all that. So we just read through it on our app. And then they also started small groups, and I was like, ooh, I'm not joining a small group. Like that feels like way too much for me. I'm not joining a small group. And then one of the small group leaders literally sought us out. She found me and she was like, you are joining my small group. And I was like, whoa, don't you think you're being a little forward? I can say that. She's one of my best friends now. But at the time I was like, that feels really like too much. I'm just starting to come to church. Like, you want me to join a small group? Like, ugh. So I did because she invited me. I didn't want to be rude. And she has 6 children. So I was like, perfect. Like her 2 youngest are my 2 youngest age. This will be really fun. If nothing else, then maybe our kids can be friends, right? So I went to the small group. We go every single Wednesday now because I don't know. I just like couldn't tell her no after I started going. I couldn't just be like, "Oh, I'm not going anymore." And then like we started really learning. We went there every single week, or we do go there every single week. Every Wednesday we go, and we talk about what we're reading in the Bible because we're reading through the Bible in a year. We do like a memorization verse, and then we just like talk about whatever questions. And I have a lot of questions. You guys should know by now. I question everything. So I come and I'm like, wait about what about this? What about that? And they are so gracious. They like just answer all my questions. And then finally, I don't know, middle of July, we get a text message. And it was like, hey, small group leaders, because there's like 5 or 6 different small groups. They're like, hey, small groups, we're gonna go down to the river because a couple people in this other small group that's not ours, they want to get baptized. And my husband and I had talked about it. We're like, if we are going to get baptized, I don't want to do it in the Trophet church. Not that I don't like that. I think that that's fine. But I don't know. I just really feel, and I really leaned on my feelings throughout this whole process. I really feel like I should do it at a river. And I don't know why, but I really feel like that's where I'm going to get baptized, at a river. So when we got this text message that these other small groups are going to go to the river and a couple people are going to get baptized, I text our small group leader and I was like, hey, would it be okay if maybe my husband and I also get baptized that same day? Like, I don't want to intrude on anybody's baptism. And she lost her mind. She was like, absolutely, yes, of course. I said, okay, should I like message the other small group leader? She's like, I already did. Everything's taken care of. We're gonna be there." She's like, "We weren't gonna show up because, like, we don't really know the people that are getting baptized," but she's like, "For you, we're going." And so our whole small group came, all the kids, like our the small group's great because a bunch of them have kids. A lot of them are the same age. We all get along really well, which is really hard to find other parents and other kids where we all get along. And we do. So I was like, wow, this really feels good. And then over the last couple weeks, I went back to Colorado for a couple things. I went down back to help coach a marching band. Then my friend also had a bachelorette party. I went back to Colorado for a couple different things. So I was there for 2 weeks by myself. I left my kids and my husband here. While I was there, and leaving, I was like, I think I miss Colorado. Like, I think I'm gonna miss I miss my friends, and I'm gonna be sad, like, going there and knowing I have to come back. And while I was there, I was like, "This doesn't feel like home anymore. Like, this isn't the place I'm supposed to be anymore." And then at that moment, it had all clicked because there were times back in, like, January, February, March, April that I was praying. I was like, "God, why am I here? Like, why did you move us to this place? I don't have any friends. I don't have community. I don't have people. Why am I here?" And then going back to Colorado, I was like, "Oh my goodness. That is exactly the place that I'm supposed to be." Colorado was a time and a place. I learned a lot about myself. A lot changed, but that is not the place that I'm supposed to be anymore. That's not where I'm supposed to raise my kids. I'm back here. I feel like happier. I changed my flight so I could be back for Sunday morning church because now we go every single week. And I never thought I'd be that person. I got baptized in the river a couple weeks ago. I'll post that on social media. Um, I don't know, everything's changed. And I think that I see conspiracies through a new lens now and almost like a better lens. And I do think that that's kind of what pushed me a little bit more because I was like, why is everything coming back to this? Like, why does everything come back to Satanism? Why does everything come back to like the devil's really at work right now, and I'm seeing it. And then with the cults, I was like, why are people using God? Like, how did this even happen? But I can see that too, which actually I think that researching cults really helped me because I was like, I'm not joining a cult. Like, that's crazy. I'm never gonna join a cult. So I kind of like could suss out cults a little bit more. But this has been a wild journey. My family is still not religious, not they don't have a faith, and I wouldn't say necessarily I'm a religious person, I would say I'm a faithful person, but yeah, like, even now at first I was like, "Well, I don't wanna tell my mom and dad that I'm gonna be baptized because I don't want the judgment from them," but I don't care anymore. Like, let them judge me, I guess. I mean, they don't, but I did invite them. They did not come, but that's what it was. This is who I am, and so this has been my journey. Years ago when I did a couple episodes, I mean, even the pyramid episode, I was like, "Yeah, I don't believe in God," because I didn't. But I wanted to be really upfront and honest because this has changed. Like, my life has I have gone through this evolution of, like, finding a faith, and I have gotten messages like, "I can tell that you're going through an evolution of finding a faith because of, like, just the way that you talk now and the person that you are." I'm like, "Wow, that's, like, really cool that you guys can all see that change, that transformation in me." But I also wanted to be upfront in, like, who I am and how I've gotten here and what happened because this is exactly what has happened. So I thought I would share. This was in no way to, like, convince anybody to do anything in their life. Absolutely not. If you want to find God, you absolutely will, and he'll come into your life, and that's your journey is your journey. I thought I would share my journey. Maybe it can help somebody, and if not, that's okay too. But it's been weighing on my heart. I've gotten a lot of questions about it, a lot, like more than I thought I would. So I thought I would just share. And that's where I'm at. So if you have any questions, you can absolutely feel free to send me a message. But until next time, my friends, stay skeptical.